Thank you so much, all, for joining us on our program, your program, this time today. As every Wednesday at this time, 1 Canada and 7 p.m. West African time, including Nigeria. Welcome once again. My name is Richie Adewusi. It's you know, scheduled to be another interesting edition of the Slow Parenting podcast. And today we're still going to be doing the same thing we do every week. Help us with tips on how to get on with our parenting jobs. Okay. And today, the central thing in getting that job done is still what we're going to be honing in on: talking, communication. Yes. Okay. If you're looking forward to raising enthusiastic, active, inspired children, it makes sense to start talking to them and eventually with them, even from infancy. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at that in particular, at that time of starting. Okay, and we're not talking about any specific issues now in those conversations. Be honest, just fun talk. Okay, not specific. Is to get started. Okay, get the talking process started. And when you would have created or built that communication relationship with your child from infancy, a bond, a bridge would have been built. Okay, a tunnel for exchange of ideas, information, feelings, add yours to the list, would have been put in place. So it now becomes, it's up to you. When I say you, I mean you and your child, or you and your children, what you decide to put in that communication relationship. Remember, in my book, I mentioned Professor Wilbur, who said in one of his many works that communication on its own has no life of its own. Okay, the life in communication is dependent on what individuals or groups in a communication relationship put into that relationship. So by the time you have built the structure is to get started. Okay, get started. Okay, eventually you begin to add to that initial, structure you have built, whatever kind of materials to strengthen it as you get along. But the first thing is, don't say, "Oh, you will understand." No, they do understand. They do understand.
Recording stopped.
Not not in the ways that maybe you would have loved. Okay, when you say something, they say it back to you. But if you are sensitive enough, and I believe especially every mother is, and as we'll see in the video that we'll be sharing, fathers also do. Okay, it comes with both the nonverbal and verbal cues when you establish that relationship with that infant, not even toddler, infant, baby. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And as the baby is suckling, you are communicating. The baby is communicating with the mother. Okay, those moments become moments you can share. You know, smiles and maybe displeasure, depending on what's going on. Okay, mothers would understand where I'm going with that, but we'll go into specifics as we get on with the rest of the program. But suffice it, you have to say that today we're going to be talking about you getting started on or with talking to your child and eventually with your child, your baby. Okay? It's not a group thing, it's an individual thing. And when you start with that individual communication relationship, it gets you to have an understanding that each child is different. Okay? Each child require a different set of tools. Really, yes. In their needs, you get to understand that child, you get to know the child. The child also gets to know you, gets to, take note of those looks that is for yes, go ahead, and those looks that's for no, you don't want to do that, before they can vocalize their own expressions. And when I say vocalize, I mean vocalize in words that you can understand, because they do vocalize even from baby, from infancy. They express, you hear sounds. Sometimes some parents can decipher the sounds their children make. They say, oh, okay, you want that. And the child will respond. It starts with paying attention. Okay? It starts with paying attention. At that point, we need to make use of all the tools that we that I wrote about in my book, the talk therapy. Talk standing for time. Sorry, T standing for time. A standing for assurance, and L standing for listening, and K standing for knowledge. Knowledge. The first three leads to now. Look at how you start. The child gets to know you. That's the talk therapy. Okay? So, in getting started with establishing a communication relationship with your child, you need all of those tools. Time, which will build assurance, which will be sustained with listening skills from both sides. You will see that in play from the short video we're going to share uh, of a conversation between a baby and the mother. Very hilarious, very funny, but then serious. Serious issues were going on there, but in a very relaxed, funny mother child, you know, scenario. Okay. So, and then when you have employed good listening skills, both sides, child, parent, that would lead to knowledge, deep knowledge, keen interest, if you like, in getting to know more about each other, which still gets which still leads to knowledge. That knowledge gets the child to know that I better not do this. My mom is not going to like it. My dad is not going to like it. You, the parents, too, get to know that John, no, this is not going to work with him. Or Mary, no, this color, this is not her color. Because you've built that relationship from infancy. You've gotten to know yourselves. So you can carry on with your relationship, okay? Leveraging on what you've known about each other, and with nobody in that relationship taking the other for granted. It's not a happenstance. It can't be by accident. It must be by conscious, intentional programming, if you like, efforts, if you like, actions to bring about that effective, productive communication relationship between you as a parent or as parents, and your child. And of course, ultimately, your children. But then remember, we've said that building that communication relationship from infancy with a child also gets you to know that each child has certain distinctive characteristics that you must look out for, that you must get used to, that would help you to know how to help each of your children depending on specific situations. So you don't or you don't go on to compare them with themselves in certain areas, of course. There are certain areas that you expect your children to behave well about the same way. Family values, they can't create their own values differently. They can't create their own cultural values differently. They can't create their own traditional values differently. They can't create their own etiquettes differently. Unfortunately, we are seeing this happening in some families where, you know, certain children dictate what should happen with them as against the rest of their siblings. And in certain homes, it's become like, okay, that's not what we are talking about. No, that's indulgence. Okay? That's different. We are talking about individual preferences that still would buy into those traditional and cultural and family values and etiquettes that everyone in the family is subject to. Not, you know, uh, practices or behaviors that individual would have chosen to apply or exhibit that don't fit into any of the family patterns in the aforementioned areas. Okay? So we need to, okay, I think we have a question here from a family member, sorry, from a community member. Let's just see what that is. Mm, mm. This is, do I think, just a moment. I don't, I just saw it a moment ago and I don't know where it's disappeared to. Well, that question, as I can't seem to process it, it's not display. Do okay, said do I think, no, this is still just me talking here. I can't seem to look at the question. If you could be, if you guys are my or guys at the top, if you could just repost the question, so we could attend to it. I can't seem to access it right here. So I will continue to can find it. Now, yeah, it's important that we know, just as we know that each child would have certain um differences or differences in terms of behavioral preferences and all of that. But those preferences must be guided to, align with the family value, okay? The cultural value, the traditional value, the etiquettes of which that family is known or should be known, not in video. So it starts early. It starts from that point that you start having those um, giggling conversation, those tinkling conversation with that baby from whatever day old, month old. Okay, you start. It builds up, and then because you've started and it gets to build up, you then begin to. It's just like you start feeding a baby with breast milk, eventually with some formula, then some cereal, and then some solid food. This is communication. You begin to apply age appropriate, okay, issues in that communication relationship in the way that the child would understand. Just as we see in the video, it doesn't matter, you know, that it's funny, but then that mother that you see in the video, which we will play for you in a moment, is establishing the fact that you need to, by the way, is a mother of 7 children. The baby in the video we're going to see, uh, is her, well, youngest of the 7. And then she has made it a habit to speak with each of them in specific ways, especially when they are about to go on a trip, when they have to use the car. You can understand that talking to maybe a 4, 5, 6 month old child, and this is how you behave when you enter this car, as if the child walked into the car by herself. But then it just shows you that these things are important and should be initiated early. And both of them, I enjoyed the interaction between the mother and the child. I enjoyed it, and that's why I chose the video to use today. Okay, from there, more serious issues need to be imputed in the conversations going forward, in communication relationship going forward. So we're going to take a break now to show you the video. When we return, we'll discuss a little bit more about it. Don't run away. Thank you for staying tuned.
All right, so I'm going to prep you like I had to do the other 6. When you get in this car, you do not start crying because you already ate, you already changed, you just had a bath, and you got on dry, clean clothes, okay? If I hear you whining in that backseat acting up, I'm going to pull over. I'm going to pull over. I'm going to have to pick you up. And I'm going to see what's wrong with my little baby. I'm going to see what's wrong with my little baby.
And to use very long videos in the course of this podcast. As I said to you, it's an interesting one. It's funny. Okay. And you could see the child respond, even the facial expression, as if, what are you talking about? Okay, yeah, don't do that. Don't. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. What's important is that it's a practice that needs to get started. Okay. The question we're looking for earlier, I found it. It said, do you think babies remember and understand what you tell them even under a year? From the video, you will see that what's important is what is happening at that moment. Whether the child, they keep things, of course. They begin to notice when you frown, when you're smiling to smile back at least, when you frown to wonder why you're frowning. Okay, they can talk, but they can express themselves. So if the question is, do they store the information you have given them? They store the information in a different way from the way adults would maybe store information. Of course, they'll recall. If they don't recall, they won't remember eventually what makes you frown up. To remember when you give a certain kind of expression, it means no, don't do that. Or when you smile, it means acceptance, it means encouragement. Okay, so they remember. Of course, they remember. And they'll keep that. And that is the reason for which it's important that we get to start early so that they begin to, get used to your own expressions too until they can until they get to the point where they can actually vocalize, meaning use words to respond to your own communication as well. Okay, when you say vocalize, you could hear her giggling, and yeah, that's vocalizing, but you cannot say this is what she said. But From that giggling, okay, from the smiles, from the laughter, it will get into now putting words out eventually. But if you are waiting for the time the child could respond in words to your, interaction, you might have started quite some late, might have been quite late in getting that communication relationship started. What we recommend is what you saw in that video. Maybe it's there, it's just like a joke, but then you could see that the mother is serious. And then, of course, at the end of the day, the mother turns the whole thing into the play. It's supposed to be, and the child smiles. It can maybe smile, maybe smiles, but then a certain level of information has been passed. When you're in this car and I'm driving, you don't begin to do stuff that will make me pull over. Yeah. Because when I pull over, that means where we're going, I have told the other six, and I'm also doing the same thing with you now. So everybody is in line. Everybody understand. In this family, when we're on a trip, we don't misbehave in the car. There's a message is passed. Okay? You don't begin to whine and no, sit quietly, be a gentle lady. Okay? Cooperate with everybody else. They'll get where we're going. The mother has passed that information. They didn't wait to say, okay, this one will not understand and what I'm going to say. No, they didn't do that. You went ahead. Yeah. Okay? When you come into this car, this is how you expect it to behave. When you are at home, when you are at the dining table, when you are in school, depending on the ages of the other six children, I want to believe that that mother would have left appropriate instruction to each of them according to their ages. And that's what we mean by have age appropriate conversation, give age appropriate responses. Okay, give age appropriate information about specific issues concerning that child, concerning your family, concerning your situation, concerning your position at specific times for specific reasons. The most important reason is there's a bond. Why do we need to do all of this? You need to ensure that you are the go-to person for your children. You are that person they run to for anything, any form of information, any form of clarification. You make yourself that go-to person. From infancy, you build that relationship. You don't wait till your daughter, it's not on the night that she's going to, the traditional wedding. It's okay, kneel down, let's now tell you how to behave in your husband's house. The young woman will be laughing inside. Oh my, yeah, I mean, you people are very early to say, okay, when you get there, behave like this, behave like. And unfortunately, that's what happens in some families. I don't want to exaggerate to say in most families, if it does happen at all. Okay? It's not that, no, it's not that day, it's not even that period that you begin to teach your daughter or your son, yes, your son, about how to behave in a marriage, in a home, in a relationship. It starts from that kind of conversation that you saw that mother have with that baby in that car. That mother would not have any issues with now initiating other kinds of discussions with that child as that child grows. That's why it's important that you start from that stage. You establish, yes, I can talk with you. Maintain eye contact. Okay. And smile when you're saying pleasant. Show a serious expression when what you're saying is, I would take note. You could see how that child's expression was changing from, yeah, he was following the mother's tone and body language. You establish those. You don't wait till you, what you are now doing is reacting to. Not you establish, you build that relationship from that infancy and then sustain it through growth, through life, through development of each child. And that way, you help yourself, save yourself some headaches, save the society some headaches. Yes. That way, some reports will come to you maybe at some later point in the life of that child, those children. And you say, no, what did you say? No, that's not my child. Or what did you say? Ah, okay, I know that's him. Sorry. Okay, I apologize over this. Okay, I will see to it. Because you know your child. You know what? You know that this is sin. He went and beat somebody up and they came to report it. You know? But if he's not that kind of a person, of like, excuse me, I am not arguing, I'm not saying, but then that doesn't sound like what you would do. But then I will get into it. I apologize. I'll get. When you find out, like, I told you, it's not the one. But if you do not know your children, you can't vouch for them. You should be able to vouch for your children. I saw a post on Facebook recently where there is a Nigerian man that is well, incarceration in the US. The mother was like, "Oh, I don't care whether he comes out or not. When he was out, he didn't care. We raised him to be this. If I were his mother or father, I'll probably not even make any such public statement because again, says some about, well, the relationship. We know that child that regrets, there will always be. But at some point, there will always be some things we might have overlooked. The things we might have overlooked might actually be communication. Early, uninhibited, concise, precise, non-judgmental communication. They might not have told that child that what he was doing that time was a particular thing. It might just be what I actually will be warning you. What are you warning the child about? Be specific. Say it. And then, of course, say what certain kinds of behaviors could lead to. And what will be your position if that child now goes on that route and arrives at that destination that you've said, don't take this road, this is where you are going to end up. Then you can now begin to talk in this way. Well, we didn't. From what I understood from that post, it was like, well, he didn't help us. It wasn't so much about he decided to, he didn't care when he was out. That doesn't cut it for me. I'm speaking for myself. Okay? We're talking about help. So if when he was out, he was dishing out the money to you, or so, yeah, well, he did well. Maybe you'll be defending him and say, okay, maybe he didn't do wrong. That's not it. We need to let our children know what we believe in as a people, culture, tradition, what we believe in as a family, the values we cherish, we follow, in this family, not in the family of the Joneses. No, this family, this is who we are. And be ready, you know, the child. We have another question here from a community member. He says, what strategies can parents and caregivers employ to communicate effectively with children who have developmental or communication? Thank you so much for this question. Well, communication delays. Remember, we said as well at the top of the program that when you start early, you get to know the needs of each child. Okay? And you respond accordingly. You find out a child that has a special need to get to comprehend things, all of your children would not comprehend things at the same rate. That's why we say if you get to know them so that you're not judging them for what is not their fault. There are some, you said, what strategies? There are some strategies that you would need help with, meaning you will need some therapists to help you with. But you need to know that there's something different. I was watching a video. I saw a video online. Yeah, to look at things online. And if you are a communication person and you have to do certain things, of course you do research. And I saw a video online, the child who they gave lime. Even as I said lime, I'm beginning to feel the pungency of uh, the taste, and without seeing lime there, just I mentioned lime. Meanwhile, this child took lime, nothing, no change, no expression. And in the comment section of that post, people were like, take this child for examination. Something is wrong with this child's taste buds. Okay? I'm not distracted. The question is what should be done with. So why I went there is when you notice that your child is not responding to certain in certain ways at certain speeds, you seek help. If you follow the natural repetition, you repeat again, maybe the child is not following or didn't hear you clearly, you start with, does the child hear well? Take the child to the appropriate places, they check that it's okay. One of my children, as the child was growing up, no matter the level of noise around that child will sleep. Once it's time for that, I was worried. I'm like, no, this cannot be proper. How would this child be comfortable with this? No matter the amount of, we have to take the child for examination. And nothing was wrong really, but then, like, how is this possible? No matter it's just that the sleep thing just takes over. Once that child felt sleepy at a very young age, no matter the level of noise, no matter what's happening around that child, just lay down, sleep until you now go to take the child and, go and talk the child in a proper place to sleep away from. But initially, I thought something was wrong. Nothing was wrong. So you need to pay attention like that to know that, and then don't play a role you are not qualified to play. Okay? Look for specialist help. Look for professional help, depending on what the issue is. Okay? Some children, some of us do not process information the same way, same speed. Our responses will not be the same way, same speed. Okay? We have to make room for individual differences in presentation, even amongst twins. The two of them, no matter how identical, sorry, I will use the word never. Okay, would not do everything the same way, including their communication skills. Okay, There's another question here. Say, how can intentional periods of silence and quiet observation contribute to a child's language development overall well-being? Intentional periods of silence and quiet observation. If I understand that question, it means, well, you chose to stay at a distance. You're busy. The child is playing or doing. You're watching what that child is doing. Yes, there. You also need to give your children space. Yeah, then they also have their own. Should have their own private. You watch and see, and then you note to see when you should intervene, in what that child is doing or saying, or what those children are doing or saying. There are risks that you allow your children to take. Okay? A child wants to touch fire. Then let hope I understand that question clearly. A child is, you're sitting somewhere, maybe you're busy, you're working, and a child is going for something hot. Keep going. Don't don't say I'm observing to see what is going to happen. No, not the first time, because that child doesn't even understand what. So the first times you tell, no, stop, correct the child, and then reinforce the correction. But if the child insists to go there, you sit back and watch. If you touch him and he feels the heat, okay, cool. Next time when he says stop, hot, no, there'll be no need for calling any prophet to come and tell the child what will happen if he touches something. Okay? You must know when to intervene and when to just watch. Okay? Um, Intervention is important. If you do not impute the initial consequence for doing certain things, if you do not initiate the initial doing some things wrong, initiate rewards for doing some things right, the child obviously I eventually not know what. So you would have said, well, I told you next time the child wouldn't go there. The other, I think the second part of the question is um, contribute to a child's language development and overall well-being. Language development, when you said don't touch that thing, you say some children, when you have said don't touch that thing, is fire, it's hot. The child might still be interested in going to touch that object. Is the child that will be repeating the thing, fire, fire. You say yes, fire. It's understanding. Yes, you are reinforcing it. Yes, it's fire. But the child could still be laughing and be saying fire, 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 ooh, fire, and it touches, cry. It's up to you not to leave him to cry a little bit to say, okay, I told you so. Oh, okay, don't worry. Oh, come, come, come. No, don't do come, come, come. No, I told you, don't touch it. But I didn't say don't attend to the child to see whether the bond is there so that I can, you know, get the child the attention he needs, even when he had overstepped, he had gone contrary. Oh, it's okay. And then when you are now applying the soothing balms and medications and all of that, you're not telling the child, I told you. Well, now you know. Next time you touch that thing, you're gonna get burnt again. The child learns. Okay, the child learns and develops. Okay, along those lines. And it's like the conversation of that mother in that car. If you whine, I'm going to pull over. Of course, the child doesn't know what pull over is, but then he stopped and like, what's she talking about? Maybe on a day that started whining, pull over. I told you I'm going to pull over, and she pulls over. Another time, he will remember the mother will not just pull over. Not say, I told you don't whine. I'm going to pull over. Okay, I told you don't get restless on your seat. I'm going to pull over if you continue. The child will hear, would understand actually. Okay, the child would actually hear and understand, and maybe stop whatever it is the child is doing that the mother is cautioning her not to get on with. But the child continues, the mother pulls over. Okay, the child would have imprinted that in his or her developmental program to know that when this happens the next time, my mother will pull over and something is going to happen to me. Okay, so it's like the call and response in African folklore. Eh? You must call before the response comes. You must call. It's like return demonstration after a training. You've told the children this is what's going to happen. This is how to do this. This is how not to do this. This is how to behave. This is how not to behave. Those are the things that, that, that should make up that, okay, we play back. Or specific instructions. Now, you know, you had a very warm bath, you're clean, you're fresh, we are putting on very fresh clothes, you're here, we are going on a trip. Well, I'm doing the same thing I did to the other six with you that give you information and instructions about how to behave anytime you enter this car. The child is listening. You can see the interplay of the expression. It's not verbal cues from the child, but the mother is verbalizing what she wants the child to understand or to hear. It's sharing it. You're also helping the child to build the capacity to take in information and give response. The responses were coming by either smiling or stopping to like, are you for real? You're going to stop? Okay. So the child is taking what is happening. Again, reading the mother's facial expression. When we're growing up, there are things my mother would not say. Mm. Most African children of my generation would understand that. There are things your mother will not say, especially in public, especially when you are in the midst of other people or you went for a function, okay, or in church or wherever, in a public gathering. If you're at home, of course, she will tell you. But outside, she only needs to look at you in certain ways and you know you are dead. It's just not that. By the time you go home, well, unless you, you know, caught the eye on time and behaved yourself. There was no need for any words because she's busy seated somewhere in the midst of other maybe grown-ups, and you are there doing something and she had told you not to do. She will look at you in certain ways and you get the message. Hmm? Okay? And you will get the message. You get the message. And then behave yourself. Another community member is saying, can storytelling be used as a tool for this? Apply any strategy that works. Children love storytelling. The important thing is develop that time. How? Remember, we said the strategy is to apply the talk therapy. Time, spend time with that child. Build assurance. Spending time creates that, you know, avenue for developing. Yes, my mom has time for me. Yes, I have time for my child. You you are assuring you care about it. Listening to yourselves. You're listening to the child's gigglings, the responses, the non-verbal cues that, you know, well, non, well, verbal in terms of The child is not speaking in words, but it's making sounds. Okay? The sounds could be of pleasure or displeasure. You can decipher those and know how to respond to that child in the course of that conversation. Of course, listening also gets you to get to know that child. So storytelling can, encapsulate all of those. Children, of course, like storytelling. Children like for you to tell them stories. So if it's a good strategy for you to develop, but it's not every time you can tell story. That mother didn't need to tell story to say if you make me pull over, something else is going to happen. Okay, but some people can be creative and get to put it in a story, a short story. And the important thing is get started, get talking. However, you find comfortable to get that started and get that done, please do it. Just talk. Get talking. Start talking. From infancy, we're going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll begin to wrap up this episode of the program. Thank you. So the question was, can storytelling be used as a strategy? Of course, storytelling is a very effective communication strategy for children, for communicating with children. So if you are gifted with storytelling, or you can, well, you you don't have to be an expert or a professional or whatever. Just make up your own stories and tell. Hey, the important thing is communicate. Start early. Sustain it. Don't wait for when you're only using communication to correct, to warn, to caution. Communicate when you're happy, when play, that's communicating. Okay? A child you have developed a communication relationship with at play would not resist your correction when you now also need to correct that child. But a child that the only time you have time to say stuff to the child is when that child might have, stepped out of line, would develop resentment for you and for that relationship. Okay? And might, begin to think that that is also the best way to behave in relationship with other people. That is that child's relationship with other people. Don't have to say anything to something is wrong. No? Say things when things are fluid, nice, joyous, celebrated. Then it gives you wit to also then have to say things when things are not going right. Okay? You don't get your children to, when they say, John, say, wow, what did I do this time? That's not helpful. That's not going to help you. John, yes, daddy, is coming joyously, and then maybe something has actually gone wrong. Okay, how did this happen? No. Not, John, wow, what did I do now? There's already a break, there's already a destruction in that relationship. But because he's still your child, he's still your own, well, you will tolerate John and come. What did I do this time? And then when that child probably has, the liberty of not being with you or close with you, it becomes difficult to communicate with that child. And you begin to ask yourself, where did I go wrong? You went wrong from infancy. You went wrong from the point at which you were not appreciating the little smiles, the giggles, and then, of course, the little missteps. They say, no, it's not that way. You're correct. The child gets used to you applauding and gets used to your disapproving, either with a look or by word. But the same way you also approve with a look, oh, wow, Good job. We're playing maybe a team event in the school, in the club, in the neighborhood, children's group. The child gets to know that. Also know that no, don't do that. You're not spoken. The child knows you. I might do this. That doesn't like that thing you do. Don't do. Yeah. Tell children that you don't say nothing. We're just looking at that. I didn't know that that look. I know that look. I know that look. I understand that. That's not a good one. And the child will stop whatever it is. But you would have built that relationship from infancy. That's what we are saying. So if you need stories to do that, why not? Okay? One thing storytelling does is storytelling removes you from the picture. You are telling a story using the lion and the hyena or the tortoise and the fish. Okay? It could be the mother fish telling the baby fish something, don't do this. The one that didn't get it right, something happened. So it's not you, it's the mother fish. Okay. Do you want what happened to the baby fish to happen to you? No. Good. The child gets it. But it's not you. Do you want mommy to do this? No, no, no. It's not mommy or daddy doing this. What happened to baby fish? You don't understand that. You want what happened to the tortoise to happen to you? No. That's the usefulness, well, part of the usefulness of using analogies, using stories to, you know, communicate with children. If you are good at that, learn how to tell stories if you can't. Okay? But by every means necessary, talk. Start early to communicate with your child, with your children. Okay? That way, you would have started building that bond that if you sustain that communication relationship will not disappear no matter how old or how distant you get to be with your children. Okay? Is it difficult? No, it's not really. It's just for us to get started. Okay? And not say, oh, it's not old enough, we don't understand. Put it in the way they will understand. Like that mother in that video. Say what needs to be said. Express acceptance by smiling, by nodding. Use those non-verbal cues to commence, initiate, sustain your communication relationship with your infant children. And sustain and add as they grow other components, other ingredients that are needed in that communication relationship. So, thank you so very much. That's it on our program today. I believe we have, shared a few things that should be of use to you. Start early to communicate with your children, even in their infancy. Don't say they won't understand. They do. They do. Maybe not understanding in the way you understand understanding, but they get to know you, and you get to know them, and you continue to build on that until they could get to the point where they begin to vocalize their own feelings and reactions, and you can then begin to communicate using words. You are using words even when they can't respond to you using words, until they get to begin to communicate also using words to respond to the things you're saying. You don't wait till the time they could only use words. Start early. That will help you to get to know them. It will help them to get to know you. It will build that communication relationship that will help with your bonding with them and save everyone some sorts of headache that could come in that relationship along the line. So, if we have been helpful in any way today, if anything we've said to you, friend, and this program interesting today, please support us. Subscribe, okay? Do subscribe to the Slow Parenting Podcast. We're here live on YouTube every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US and Canada, and 7 p.m. West African Time, including Nigeria. You will also find past videos from past live streams on our channel, on our YouTube channel, the Slow Parenting Podcast. You also feel free to, visit and, you know, engage with us through our other social media handles, which you will find in the process, in the course of, okay, um, on the pages on this channel. All right. Please follow, share, invite your friends to be part of this, and do send us those questions. We thank everyone who had asked questions today, and we hope that the responses we gave um, were helpful to you. So until we come your way again next Wednesday, or until you visit our channel again, the Slow Parenting uh, podcast channel on YouTube. My name is still Richie Adewusi. Stay blessed and keep talking. Thank you so very much. Bye bye.